At Ruaha National Park, a single animal cannot bring it down, and cannot hold it either. And holding a kill is harder than making one. But living as a group carries its own cost. Everything caught has to be divided. The larger the pride, the larger each hunt has to be, and the more dangerous the target becomes. The young follow from very early on, long before they can bring down anything themselves. At midday, the temperature becomes an ally. Whoever handles the heat worse loses before the fight even starts. The only question left today is who handles it worse than whom? The great herd moves along a familiar trail, but a few always fall behind, the old bulls. Seasoned, confident, and far too heavy to hurry. They leave the cover of the herd to look for shade. Against the heat, that is a sensible decision. Against everything else, it is the worst one. This time, the young come forward to the front line. The buffalo guard against everything, except an attack at this hour. In heat like this, nothing should be hunting, which is exactly why the hunt happens now. The smallest one stays out of it. Its job today is to watch. Only silence. The outcome did not come from one strike. It came from a chain of choices. The hour, the ground, the individual. And the meal is taken in silence. Out here, sound is the most expensive thing a pride can produce. Any rival within earshot will come for a share. And the ones who come for a share will kill the cubs. The young eat first. A stretch of grassland away, the rest of the herd keeps walking. They have lost a member, and they will not stop. On the savannah, survival belongs to the herd, not to the individual. Instinct teaches a lion to chase. Only watching teaches it to wait. Every hunt the pride makes is a lesson for the generation behind it. The news travels before the last lion has even left. It travels as circles dropping lower against the sky. The scavengers hold a very specific distance. Close enough not to lose a share. Far enough not to lose a life. In Ruaha, a kill belongs to whoever can hold it longest. Within minutes, an empty patch of grassland becomes the most crowded place for miles. From that moment, what is left of the kill all but disappears. Bone, hide, sinew. In Ruaha, nothing is left behind. The same country holds leopard and cheetah, both of them formidable hunters. And both of them plan their routes around the territory of the lion pride. The top of the food chain is confirmed by the ones who choose to go around the king of the savannah. After a full meal, the pride goes almost motionless. Lions sleep up to 20 hours a day. Lions release almost no heat through the skin. Most of the pride's activity falls in the early morning and at night. Anything that happens at midday is an exception. And an exception is only worth it when the reward is large enough. The moment the dominant male wakes. The dominant male rarely hunts with the females. His work is holding the land. The roar of a mature male carries up to 8 kilometers. It is the most natural fence nature ever designed. Built out of sound and held up by reputation. A male lion outweighs the females. by about 50%. The price of that mass is stamina. A long chase drains him before it drains the prey. So he takes the way of the strong, waiting until one strike is all it takes. The darker and fuller the mane, the better the condition behind it. And rival males read that from a long way off. But that throne comes with an expiry date. A dominant male usually holds his territory only a few years before he is replaced. Instead of hiding, a giraffe chooses to see first. It carries the same number of neck vertebrae as a human being, but each one runs nearly the length of an arm. The price of that height is that they have to stay standing almost all the time. Lying down is an expensive decision. There is only one moment they are forced to lower themselves. For those few seconds, a giraffe becomes prey within reach. A single kick from a giraffe can break bones where it stands. Going after a healthy adult is a decision very few prides will make. The conditions have to be perfect. The bigger the gamble, the more the reward is worth. On the dead branches above, the vultures have been waiting a long time. No one reads this savanna better than they do. And right now, they are looking toward the riverbed. In a matter of days, one lion pride has taken down two of the hardest prey animals in Africa. Experience knows when to move. Power knows how to finish. When a pride holds both, very little in Ruaha can stand in its way. So, what do you think could actually beat a pride like this? Greater strength or simply greater numbers? Let us know in the comments. The dry season in Ruaha drains everything down to a handful of pools. Cape buffalo are among the hardest hit. Buffalo have to drink every day, as regularly as they breathe. At the same time, zebra and waterbuck are pushed into those same stretches of river. To a predator, that density sounds like a gift. But the tighter they are pressed together, the closer the grazers stand to one another. A buffalo weighing close to a ton can run at nearly 60 kilometers an hour. To a pride that has just won twice in a row, that mass of buffalo still looks like an enormous store of food. Buffalo handle heat better than lions do. The second error is far more serious. The pride attacked while the herd was still drinking. It will fight for the right to drink. The pride gave everything it had. But the hunt failed, and failed badly. There is no death here, and that is the most remarkable part of it. A failed hunt drops the whole pride down one run of standards. Impala, young antelope, anything that does not ask the pride to bet its life. Last time the lesson was knowing when to attack. This time the lesson is knowing when to stop. On the other side, the herd has kept exactly what it needed. One more season of drinking at this river. In Ruaha, no one announces the result of a hunt, but every species knows. Then the rains will come. Water returns everywhere. And once water is no longer held in one place, the herd will split apart. That is when the lions will return. With young that have grown, and with a lesson no one in the pride had to pay for. Strength can be measured. Experience can be accumulated. Whether anyone stands beside you can be neither measured nor accumulated. It only shows on the hardest day. The herd only held its ground at the riverbed. And in a place where the water is running out, holding your ground is everything. Ruaha teaches something much harder to hear. Every strength has a day when it turns into a blind spot. Heat was once the sharpest weapon the pride had. That same heat drove them out of the riverbed. The young lions have seen both sides of the hunt in a single dry season. They have learned a great deal. If you had to back one side for next year's dry season, would you take the hunters who know when to wait, or the herd that only has to stand still and refuse to give ground? Let us know in the comments. Now let the dry country rest for a moment and take in the vastness of the sea before we go looking for other fights for survival. Imagine a country in Africa where people gather to go skiing in July. A nation smaller than the state of Maryland, yet not a single inch of land sits lower than the city of Denver. A kingdom completely encircled by another country, with its sole entry point crossing a mountain pass nearly 2,900 meters high. Here, locals wear a hat shaped like a volcano, proudly displayed right on their national flag. Every morning, they wrap themselves in warm woolen blankets, as if wearing an elegant suit. And 6 years ago, that very blanket proudly took center stage in a Marvel blockbuster. Right at this moment, in a village at an elevation over 2,400 meters, an 80-year-old grandmother still diligently weaves such blankets by hand on a wooden loom, just as her mother used to do. In this very same country, Africa's largest dinosaur footprint rests just about a mile from where a young shepherd leaves his own footprints every morning. This is Lesotho, the kingdom in the clouds. What makes Lesotho unlike anywhere else on Earth is that it is the only nation in the world located entirely at an elevation above 1,000 meters. Not a single patch of land across the territory sits lower than that landmark. Even its lowest point is already at an elevation of 1,400 meters, meaning it stands higher than Colorado's mile-high city of Denver. The entire country spans roughly 30,300 square kilometers, slightly smaller than Maryland, and sits completely inside South Africa. In fact, Lesotho is one of only 3 independent nations on Earth completely surrounded by another country. With the other two being the Vatican and San Marino. A rather fascinating club, to say the least. Its highest peak is Ben Macdui, reaching an elevation over 3,480 meters. Taller than any peak in the Grand Teton Range. Now, here is something few people ever tell you about Africa. Lesotho has 4 distinct seasons. In winter, from May to August, the highlands can drop to -20 degrees Celsius, colder than the state of Montana. And the most wondrous part is that it snows here, which is why Lesotho boasts a bustling ski resort at an elevation over 3,200 meters. The only ski resort in southern Africa. The skies in this place also create phenomena you will not easily forget. Lesotho rests in one of the most intense lightning zones on Earth, rivaling the state of Kansas during storm season. Local farmers read the natural movement of the clouds, just like you read your daily phone messages. On clear nights over the highlands, the Milky Way appears so close, you feel as though you could simply reach out and touch it. Reminiscent of Big Ben National Park on its finest nights. But at a far higher elevation. The country even features a landmark named Semonkong, roughly translated as the place of smoke. Because the mist rising from the waterfall leaps so high that you can see it from miles away. That is why people call Lesotho the kingdom in the clouds. This is not a piece of romantic poetry, but geographical reality, plain and simple. Before we continue this wonderful journey, let me know what time you are watching this video. And from which country, by leaving a comment below. Now, sit back, relax, and soar into the sky with me. Let us get acquainted with the Basotho people. Roughly 2.1 million people live in Lesotho, with another 3 million residing in South Africa. The very first thing you will notice about them is their attire. Every morning across the country, from the chief executive officer on Kingsway Avenue down to the shepherd boy at an elevation of 2,400 meters, everyone wraps themselves in a warm woolen blanket known as a kobo. They wear it day in and day out, not just on special occasions. Then they add a cone-shaped straw hat called a mokoroklo. That hat rests proudly right on the national flag, its silhouette inspired by the sacred volcanic peak of Mount Kilauea. Things became even more exciting in 2018 when the blockbuster movie Black Panther hit the big screen. The elite female warriors of the Dora Milaje in the film wore these remarkably distinct blankets. Those were genuine, real-life Basotho Kobo blankets, woven at a small textile workshop just south of the capital. Each blanket takes up to 3 full days of continuous effort on the loom. The patterns on the blanket are not merely for decoration. They represent the stories of a person's life, such as the Siana Marina pattern for weddings, the Malema Hotla for warriors, or the Siate tree design, given as graduation due for. They gift each other warm blankets, because a blanket will keep you cozy upon these chilly mountain peaks for the rest of your days. There is a national motto here that you will spot on coins, on the flag, and right above the palace doors. Kutso Pulo Nala, meaning peace, rain, and prosperity. At an elevation this high, wishing for rain is a truly heartfelt greeting. You might have heard of a familiar name connected with Lesotho, Prince Harry. He spent a portion of his gap year here in 2004, then returned in 2006 to establish the Sentebale Forget-Me-Not charity to support children affected by human immunodeficiency virus. In response to his dedication, the Basotho gave him a name with special meaning, Mulhale, which means warrior. And there is one image deeply etched in my mind. In a village called Ha Amkau, an 80-year-old grandmother still weaves those blankets day after day, by hand on a wooden loom. One of the blankets she crafted with her own hands is now showcased in a Cape Town museum. There is something truly fascinating about Lesotho. This country offers the best of both worlds, living 2 entirely different lives in a single day. In the capital city of Masuru, you stand at an elevation of roughly 1,600 meters, matching the altitude of Boulder, Colorado. Just down in the Fetsani district, factories are working around the clock, stitching jeans for brands like Old Navy, Gap, or Levi's. Chances are you might be wearing jeans made in Lesotho without even knowing it. On Friday nights, rooftop lounges glow brightly amid bustling shopping centers. Vibrant famo rhythms spill onto the sidewalks, and bra grills stay fired up until 2:00 in the morning. But when Sunday comes, the entire city slips into a peaceful slumber. Yet, just a 4-hour drive south toward Malele takes you across a mountain pass. Here, a British missionary back in 1900 left behind a sign with a message that still stands to this day. Traveler, stop and gaze upon the gateway to paradise. Here, there is no traffic noise nor bright neon lights, only the chime of sheep bells, the sound of a shepherd boy playing the lesiba, and donkeys outnumbering cars by a mile. You will spend the night inside a rondovel, a traditional round stone house with a thatched roof wrapped in two warm layers of Basotho blankets under flickering candlelight, while the Milky Way seems to pour through every window. This is Socotra, a place that keeps the secrets of the ancient world, sitting in complete isolation in the middle of the Indian Ocean. This island holds one of the most singular ecosystems on Earth, a place where you meet forms of life so strange and so unfamiliar that they feel as though they do not belong to our planet at all. It is a remote island that broke away from the mainland more than 6 million years ago. A separation that let life here evolve by rules entirely its own and shaped the identity of the people who call this place home. What hidden natural force turned Socotra into a world unlike anywhere else on Earth? And why is this isolated island considered one of the safest and most livable places in the world? The formal name of this land is the Socotra Archipelago, a group of islands belonging to the Republic of Yemen. Yet, geographically, it sits far closer to the African continent than to the Arabian Peninsula. The Socotra Archipelago lies right at the mouth of the Gulf of Aden, where the Arabian Sea meets the Indian Ocean. It is about 350 kilometers from mainland Yemen and only some 250 kilometers from the Horn of Africa. That singular position left the island almost entirely cut off from the currents of the outside world for millions of years, which is why people so often describe Socotra as the strangest isolated paradise on Earth. The whole archipelago is made up of 4 main islands, along with countless smaller rocky islets, covering a total area of about 3,650 square kilometers. It is also home to more than 60,000 people, generations of residents who have built their lives around this extraordinary land. Given the chance, would you trade the comforts of a modern city for one chance to step into this ancient world? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And now let us go deeper into the heart of the island to see how 6 million years of isolation shaped wonders that seem almost impossible. The further you move into Socotra, the more the landscape seems to reinvent itself around every bend. The Hajia Mountains rise above the cloud layer, while vast limestone plateaus stretch across the island, carved by countless gorges and fissures formed over millions of years. Hidden beneath the sheer cliffs are enormous caves filled with remarkable formations of stone. Meanwhile, in the northeast, the white dunes of Ar spill dramatically down into the deep blue of the Indian Ocean. Socotra's story begins hundreds of millions of years ago, when this land was still part of the supercontinent Gondwana. As the tectonic plates shifted, the Arabian Plate pulled away from Africa, the Gulf of Aden formed, and from more than 20 million years ago, Socotra was fully isolated in open ocean. From that moment on, the island followed an evolutionary path entirely its own, far less touched by the world outside. Through the millions of years that followed, nature became the most patient artist of all. Wind carved the cliffs without pause. Rain slowly cut the valleys deeper, and the sea worked tirelessly at the shape of the coastline, leaving beaches of pure white sand. Every movement of the earth, every wind, and every wave left its mark, building piece by piece the extraordinary landscape that defines Socotra today. Many geologists describe Socotra as a continent in miniature in the Indian Ocean, because an area this modest holds an almost unbelievable variety of landscapes. From towering peaks and wind-swept plateaus, to caves and deep valleys, through to the dunes and beaches left completely untouched. This land was patiently shaped by nature into the cradle of a biological world found nowhere else on Earth. A place where life itself has written a story even more extraordinary than the landscapes around it. Nature has one very familiar rule. Which is that the more isolated a place becomes, the harder it is for life to take hold and flourish. And yet, Socotra is one of the rare exceptions. Standing alone in the Indian Ocean, the island has almost no regular exchange with the ecosystems of Africa or the Arabian Peninsula. Every seed carried on the wind, every bird that happened to stop here, and every small creature that survived the ocean crossing had to learn to adapt to punishing terrain and extremely scarce water. There was no way back for them. Either evolve and survive, or vanish for good. Scientists have recorded more than 800 plant species on Socotra. Of which around 307 are endemic, meaning they exist nowhere else on Earth. That accounts for roughly 37% of all plant species on the island. A proportion that is exceptionally rare for any island in the world. This irreplaceable biological singularity is what led UNESCO to recognize the whole archipelago as a World Heritage Site in 2008. And once you look more closely, you understand exactly why that title is entirely deserved. The dragon's blood tree spreads its branches into an enormous canopy. Shaped exactly like an umbrella. That strange appearance is not merely a curious feature. It is an exceptionally shrewd survival strategy. Because that shape lets the tree cast shade over itself. Hold moisture in the soil beneath, and give the young trees a better chance under the island's relentless year-round sun. The desert rose works like a natural reservoir, storing every precious drop of water it needs to survive through long stretches of drought. But the strange natural world of Socotra does not stop at plants. The island's fauna is every bit as extraordinary. Scientists have recorded around 34 reptile species on Socotra. Of which as many as 3.1 are endemic. Among land snails, the proportion is more astonishing still. With around 95% of species found nowhere else. Marking one of the highest levels of endemism in the world. Even the birds, creatures that seem able to cross oceans with ease, have gradually developed into distinct populations. After millions of years away from the mainland. That extraordinary degree of uniqueness is why scientists so often call Socotra the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean.
"4 years. holding a territory the size of a major city. In dry season, nothing challenges Kasai here. But this is flood season. The channel where Kasai's pride hunts now belongs to a creature 15 times heavier. The open plain where the pride ran prey down is now thigh-deep mud. Kasai's territory rewritten by 30 million liters of water every single day. Who truly controls Okavango? A cat 16 times smaller than a lion. With the highest hunt success rate of any African felid, 200 Cape buffalo are massing. The Mzima pack has 11 African wild dogs, and one rule: no one eats alone. This system is a resource conservation strategy. African wild dog hunt success rate is 80%, the highest of any large predator in Africa. Not because they are stronger or faster, because they never chase alone. In flood season conditions, where mud slows every species equally, Mzima's relay tactic is unaffected. The Mzima pack spent 5 days mapping the new channel territory before beginning to hunt in flood season. 5 days observing water flow direction, the locations of shallow crossings, the daily routes impala take when drinking. Mzima knows the flood season terrain better than any newly arrived species. From day 6 onward, success rate climbs steadily, with each day of accumulated data. In the Delta's deepest channel, a species not on anyone's list of dominance candidates is preparing the most remarkable performance of flood season. African sharp-toothed catfish is not an apex predator in the traditional sense, but it has one capability that no other fish in Okavango has: direct air breathing. African sharp-toothed catfish evolved a supplementary respiratory organ, a cavity in the head that functions like a primitive lung, extracting oxygen from air instead of water. When dissolved oxygen in the water drops too low, catfish surface and breathe air directly. That capability lets them survive in low oxygen zones that every other fish species must abandon. Kasai needs to cross the channel to reach the land on the far side. In dry season, this is a 20-second swim through shallow water. In flood season, the channel is 3 times wider and 1 meter deeper. The hippopod sits between the start and the destination. Kasai has no option in this situation. The lion no longer controls this place. October. The flood begins to recede. Not suddenly, but a centimeter at a time each day, invisible to the eye in 24 hours, but unmistakable after a week. mud exposed under sun. Within 48 hours of the surface drying, the first grass shoots appear. From the nutrient-dense sediment, the water left behind. Grass grows from this mud faster than any grassland on the planet. Because Okavango sediment carries alluvial deposits from Angola at 1,700 meters elevation, rich in tropical minerals that lowland plains cannot generate themselves. New grass is not just food, it is a signal. Zebra arrive in the second week after the grass appears. They can smell new grass from 20 kilometers downwind. Then wildebeest. Then impala. And when enough prey gathers on the new floodplain grassland, the delta calls the lions back. Firm ground returns 80 kilometers per hour to Kasai. Flat plain returns the capacity for straight-line pursuit. Open ground without dense vegetation returns a 300-meter visual advantage. Azura also returns to the dry floodplain. Hunt success climbs from 25% in flood season mud back to 45% on firm ground. Azura's 3 cubs grew through 7 months of flood. By learning to hunt smaller prey in difficult conditions, field mice, lizards, small birds in shallow water. Not the skills of an adult cheetah, but skills impossible to learn on dry ground. All 3 will become adult cheetah, who know what flood season is and know that speed is not the answer to every question. Tama loses the catfish frenzy advantage when the water recedes, but in 7 months of flood, she accumulated enough energy to reproduce successfully. 2 serval cubs beside Tama are the product of one rich flood season. Serval produce 2 to 3 cubs when conditions are good, and 1 or none when conditions are poor. Flood season is the best possible conditions for Tama. 2 cubs surviving to October is a rare success rate in the wild. Mosi and the hippopod stay in the main channel as the flood recedes. Hippos do not leave the channel. They wait for the channel to shrink around them. And the hippo highways across hundreds of kilometers of channel that the pod created through decades of repeated footsteps keep the flow deep enough exactly where they need it. And each flood season, the hippo channels serve not just the hippos, but every species that needs deep water in dry season. The end of one flood season never means everything returns to zero. The Cape buffalo herd carries new memory of channel crossings and recalls that Kasai pursued them from the north this year. Azura and 3 cubs carry the experience of flood season, and those cubs will pass it on to their own young. Tama carries 2 serval cubs that are the result of 7 months of accumulated catfish frenzy. Mosi carries 1 more completed flood season, in which the pod survived intact. 8 weeks after the flood drops to its lowest point, the Okavango ecosystem completes a recovery cycle that ecologists call post-flood succession. Knee-high green grass across the entire low floodplain. Zebra return at the highest density of the year, up to tens of thousands in a 200 square kilometer area. And when zebra arrive at that density, Kasai does not have to wait anymore. Kasai makes the first successful kill after 19 days of inadequate food, on the very first straight-line pursuit on dry ground. The remaining water pools after the flood recedes become the center of the entire dry season ecosystem. Every animal must come to drink once a day, and lions learn early. That waterholes are places to wait, not to chase. Kasai knows every waterhole in its territory. And every afternoon in November, Kasai does not chase. Kasai waits, with the patience of an animal. That just finished 3 lessons across 7 months. Mosey and the hippopod hold the dry season channel through their own infrastructure. The hippo highways channel enough flow to sustain 22 animals through the longest dry season. After 8 years controlling this channel, Mosey has created a channel system the surrounding zone cannot exist without. Without Mosey's hippopod, the main channel would disperse into many shallow branches, with insufficient depth for crocodiles in dry season. Without crocodiles, fish populations would surge and consume all aquatic vegetation. Without aquatic vegetation, wading birds lose their food source. Mosey does not know she is the foundation of the ecosystem around her. She only does what hippos have always done. Stay in the water, feed on land at night, protect the young, and maintain the path the pod has used since before Mosey was born. Simple as that, and that simplicity is enough to build an ecosystem. UNESCO recognized Okavango as a World Natural Heritage Site. Because of a self-sustaining system that needs no intervention, 15 billion liters of water in each year. 15 billion liters of water out each year through evaporation and absorption. A perfect balance with no hand adjusting it. And within that balance, 130,000 species of plants and animals survive, many still unnamed. Kasai stands on the highest termite island in the area at dusk. The delta spreads out ahead, equal parts water and land, the boundary unclear even from the highest vantage point. Scientists call this behavior sentinel behavior. But Kasai is not watching for enemies. She is reading the terrain. Ecology has a concept called temporal niche partitioning. Not who occupies the most space wins, but who chooses the right moment. Serval chose the 7 flood months as a peak season, when catfish frenzy delivers enough protein to reproduce. Hippo chose the deep channel as a permanent domain across both seasons, because the channel never dries where the hippos live. Cape buffalo chose collective action as their weapon, one that cannot be broken by any single individual. Wild dog chose relay tactics, unaffected by changing terrain conditions. Lion chose speed and power, which dominate the 5 dry season months absolutely. Okavango is not where the strongest wins. Okavango is where the most fitting wins, the one with the right season, the right terrain, the right way of life. And every year, the definition of most fitting shifts with the rhythm of 30 million liters of water every day. Kasai has dominated this territory for 4 years, 4 years without a meaningful defeat on dry ground. This flood season's 3 defeats do not erase those 4 years. They add to the map Kasai carries, the map of a lion that knows when dry ground is hers and when flood season demands patience instead of action. Okavango does not teach this through textbooks, but through 30 million liters of water every day for 7 consecutive months. Every year, no pause, no exception. And every species must relearn from the start, or remember enough to avoid relearning. Strength is not winning every battle. Strength is knowing which battles are worth fighting and which to wait for another season. It begins with the story of water. The Angola highlands receive rain from January. That rain builds into the Cubango River and flows south. Unhurried, unstoppable. When the flood peaks in July, 30 million liters pour into the delta every day. Not one drop reaches the sea. This is a completely closed system. Okavango is called the Jewel of the Kalahari, not for its beauty alone, but because without it, every living thing across 930,000 square kilometers of surrounding desert cannot survive the dry season. Okavango is the last anchor. In 2014, UNESCO formally inscribed this delta on the World Natural Heritage List for the highest biodiversity density in Africa. By area, 130 species of large mammals, over 500 species of birds, 70 species of fish. In flood season, every boundary is erased by water, and power redistributes. From the beginning. Sunrise over the Masai Mara is a moment of pure magic. In the crisp morning air, the Topi shake off the remnants of sleep. Some engage in clashing horns to get their muscles moving. They vie for the highest mounds on the plain, securing a panoramic view and prime status to attract mates. Those who come up short are moved to the lower ground. This lively dynamic marks a productive start for these creatures. But breakfast is always on the horizon. In the pride's first meal of the day, the hierarchy of power is clearer than ever. Although the lionesses handle most of the intense pursuit, the alpha male claims the privilege of eating first to maintain his peak condition. Sometimes the dominant male uses this right as a social discipline tool. If a female declines a mating request, the male may strictly prevent her from touching the prize she secured herself. This firm approach ensures he is always calling the shots during his tenure. A male lion's throne is a fleeting position. On average, a king only keeps his crown for 2 to 3 years before being unseated by younger, stronger rivals. When young males in the pride reach about 3 years of age, they are sent away by their father to prevent inbreeding and remove any seeds of rebellion. For now, they must simply follow their father's lead and offer comfort to their weary mother. The hyena clan has been vocal since daybreak. Now the sun is high in the sky. Yet the foraging party has not returned. This male hyena has just finished his search. He carries back a late morning meal. The aroma of this feast is quite alluring, drawing a female to the spot. This fellow is doing it all for love, even if he may not receive a single morsel from the meal he just secured. In hyena society, the ladies hold the reins. The females are larger and much more assertive. Males must endure a long, humble journey to carry on their legacy. They must constantly lower their gaze, tuck their tails, and step back whenever a female draws near. A clever male will choose to be a dedicated shadow. He will trail his interest for weeks or even months, maintaining a respectful distance and appearing as harmless as can be. He even learns to show affection to the dominant female's own young to get in her good graces, truly paying his dues to win over the queen. The demanding cycle of life for newborn hyenas begins with their very first breath. Unlike most other mammals, spotted hyena cubs enter the world with a full set of teeth and eyes wide open. Their quest for status ignites within the first days of life. To secure prime access to their mother, these little ones are ready to contend with their own siblings. This trial determines who will lead in the future social order. For the entire first year, mother's milk is their sole sustenance. They cannot process solid food until they reach 8 months of age. This reliance requires the mother to dedicate all her energy to protection and care before beginning a new reproductive cycle. This shivering newcomer has just been brought into the light. The moment it arrives, its journey is officially on the clock. The mother doesn't offer nourishment just yet. The little one must prove it is a fighter. Merely 15 minutes after birth, the young antelope must find its stride. Only after showing its agility does the calf receive the reward of nutritious milk. This urgency is no coincidence. The reproductive window for the topi is incredibly narrow. A female has only a single day each year to secure the next generation. When Angola's rain falls on the BIC plateau in January next year, the cycle begins again. Water flows down the Cubango River for 1,200 kilometers. Through Angola, through Namibia, into Botswana. 4 months to reach the Kalahari. And when it arrives, the delta meets it with everything learned from the season before. Serval will again command the termite islands when the flood rises, because termite mounds are still the highest ground. Hippo will again control the deep channels, because the hippo highways are still the water's path. Wild dog will again spend 5 days mapping terrain at the start of the season, because those 5 days are why the 78% success rate exists. Thabo will again mark the eastern termite island, because warthog do not abandon territory, only adapt to what the flood changes. And Kasai will wait again, patient, because lions know their season. This is Okavango, not where the strongest always wins, but where those who know their moment always survive. Greatest wildlife fights in the jewel of the Kalahari. Every flood season in Okavango rewrites the balance, and the species that know this do not need to win every battle. They only need to survive until their season comes. If you want to know what happens when Okavango dries completely, when the channels disappear and every species competes for the last remaining water, the next story is waiting. Hit subscribe and don't miss it. 30 million liters of water every day, 7 months every year. 2.5 million years without interruption. This is Okavango. And every flood season, the lesson is rewritten. Not in ink, but in mud and water. And the memory of species that have lived here longer than any human. The only question Okavango puts to every species is also the simplest. In this season, who are you? As the sun reaches its peak, the Masai Mara transforms into a massive furnace. To beat the heat and shield themselves from harsh rays and persistent hitchhikers, these giants seek out the mud wallows. The damp earth serves as a protective coat for their delicate skin against the intense warmth. Unlike the elephant herds that use mud as a temporary mask, the hippopotamus chooses to rule the currents to beat the heat. An alpha male claims a stretch of water spanning about 200 meters, establishing his own absolute rule. These giants spend up to 16 hours each day soaking in the water or cooling mud. The hippopotamus lacks sweat glands entirely. Under the intense African sun, their thick skin is actually quite delicate and prone to sun damage if exposed too long to ultraviolet rays. Staying submerged also helps manage their massive weight. The current supports their joints, allowing this nearly 3 tons giant to move with surprising grace. Much like lions, a mother hippo does not feel at ease giving birth around assertive males. She must seek out a separate pool to welcome her only calf. Their connection to the water begins from the very first moments of life. Hippopotamus calves are born right beneath the surface and are natural-born swimmers. Even before finding their footing on land, they dive skillfully alongside their mother, using the water as a safe shield against shoreline hunters. Even so, one can never be too cautious. The mother cannot bring her little one back to the herd's waters just yet. She worries that territorial disputes among the males could place her precious calf at risk. The solitary mother becomes fiercely protective toward anyone who draws near her and her calf's pool, even if it is a lion. But a hunter is approaching. She is in need of a drink, but the hippo will not allow her to come any closer. Having raised young before, the mother knows exactly what this lioness is capable of. They are master hunters, and her calf would be quite a prize for them. A firm snap toward the head. With a jaw that opens 150 degrees and teeth far larger than those of a lioness, she easily convinces the predator to take a hike and forget her thirst. Azura steps into the flooded zone for the first time this season. Cheetah is the only felid, with claws that cannot fully retract, like a lion or leopard. That is why cheetah reaches 100 kilometers per hour on firm ground. The terrain changes every calculation. Azura needs 8 to 12 successful hunt attempts each day to meet the caloric needs of the whole group. In flood season mud, each attempt burns twice the energy. 200 meters away, Tamer stands on top of a termite mound, listening. Serval has the largest ear-to-body ratio of any African wildcat. 32 separate muscle groups control each ear, compared to 12 in a domestic cat. Both ears operate completely independently. Left ear scans left, right ear scans right, creating three-dimensional sound triangulation. Tamer hears a prey animal's heartbeat through the surface of the water. That is the ideal distance to begin a hunt on firm ground. But between Azura and the gazelle are 180 meters of flood season mud. The gazelle only needs to run fast enough to reach deeper mud. Where Azura cannot follow. Azura stops and watches the prey escape. Continuing through deep mud burns more calories than the kill would return. Azura's 3 cubs were born 2 months before the flood arrived. The worst possible timing in the year to give birth to cheetah cubs in Okavango. The greatest challenge of flood season is not the water. It is the moving water. Every week, the map of Okavango changes. The island Azura used as a base last week is now completely submerged. Adapting to a shifting landscape is what Azura is teaching her 3 cubs this flood season. How to read water. Darker water means deeper water. Deeper means slower. The movement of reeds reveals current direction. The tracks of large animals like zebra and Cape buffalo mark the safe routes. Lechwe is the most vivid lesson that flood season teaches Azura. The lechwe's hind legs are longer than its front legs, the opposite of almost every other hooved animal. In flood season, lechwe becomes the one prey no one can catch in shallow water. And shallow water is 70% of Okavango's surface area for 7 months. Clean contact. Serval's hunt success rate in Okavango flood conditions exceeds 50%, highest of any African felid in flood season. Okavango flood season redistributes every advantage in ways no species can resist. Leopard, serval, cheetah. Every species finds its own solution, but only one finds the best one. Flood season demands more than speed. It demands flexibility. Mosey does not need land territory. She needs the channel. The lead female, 2,800 kilograms, 22 years old. Controlling 8 kilometers of the delta's main channel by the simplest method possible. She is always there. Mosey's pod of 22 hippos. The paths they carve into the channel floor are called hippo highways. Grooves 80 centimeters deep and 1.2 meters wide, running along the channel in the direction that optimizes flow. The channel ecosystem is maintained. Hippos also secrete a red-orange liquid through their skin, not sweat, not blood. That is hipposudoric acid, the only known natural sunscreen, antibacterial and antiseptic compound in any mammal. In 12 hours of daily submersion, their skin stays free of infection, free of parasites, free of the bacteria that fill the channel. On the north side of the largest termite island in the area, a herd of elephants is working, building. African elephant is the only species with the weight and strength to break through the raised earth banks between islands and channels. Humans spend decades and millions of dollars building irrigation channels. Okavango lets elephants do it for free, and the result is better, because elephants follow the natural water gradient, not an engineer's blueprint. Prey only 80 meters away, but between Kasai and the Lechwe herd is a channel 1.5 meters deep. A 190-kilogram lion in 1.5 meters of moving water is not a threat. It is a heavy object being pushed sideways by the current. The bull of Mosey's pod, present, standing, with 3,000 kilograms and 4 canine teeth, 50 centimeters long. First defeat of this flood season. Inside every cubic meter of Okavango water, a conversation is happening. In electricity, electric mormarid fish are the African electric fish group that use weak electric pulses to navigate, identify each other, and communicate in zero visibility conditions. Each individual emits its own distinct electrical signal, like an electronic fingerprint. A school of 200 can recognize one another in total darkness through this signal system. When the flood rises and underwater visibility drops below 10 centimeters, every conventional sense becomes useless. Catfish use whiskers. Crocodiles use pressure receptors on the jaw. Mormirids use electricity. This is why the Okavango Delta supports 71 species of fish, more than any other inland water system in Africa of equivalent area. The answer begins at the bottom of the food chain. Here, a creature that must live every single day. As if it were the last, the desert cottontail. Weighing barely 3 pounds, around 1.3 kilograms, and stretching just 15 inches long, it is a moving meal for almost every predator in the Sonoran. Its greatest survival weapon is a pair of massive ears that account for up to 14% of its body mass. Those ears are a perfect biological heat dissipation system. A dense network of capillaries inside the ear expands under the heat, radiating body temperature out into the air. Without this mechanism, the desert cottontail's blood would, in the most literal sense, boil from the inside out. At dawn and dusk, when temperatures drop slightly, the cottontail finally leaves its shelter. It moves using a technique known as shade hopping, leaping from one patch of shadow to the next, as if the ground between them were molten lava. Each leap carries a life or death calculation. The distance between two patches of shade, the sun's angle, and the direction of wind that carries the scent of predators. Cape buffalo have reached a threshold that no African predator can confront alone. A mature bull weighs 700 to 900 kilograms. The boss horn takes 8 years to fully form. A full force charge from an 800-kilogram buffalo generates roughly 2 tons of force, concentrated into an area the size of a thumb. Within the herd, mature bulls rotate sentry duty on a natural schedule. When one detects a threat, it stops and looks directly toward it. Within 20 seconds, every animal nearby has turned to face the same point. The entire process runs through a network of head orientation reading and body posture. In flood season, the herd concentrates on high ground with minimal flooding. 200 to 500 animals on a land surface. That has shrunk to under 20% of its dry season size. That means the entire herd within 100 meters, instead of spread across 5 square kilometers as in dry season. The time from detecting a threat to full herd response drops sharply. Lion success rates against buffalo drop in flood season, even though the prey is more concentrated. Higher prey concentration means a faster and denser collective defense system. This is the lion pride's hunt strategy that worked effectively across many dry seasons. 2 flanks approach from perpendicular angles. The prey flees one flank and runs into the other waiting. On dry ground in dry season with scattered prey, this tactic achieved 30% success against isolated animals at the herd's edge. Kasai in position for the ambush. Wind direction correct. Ideal distance by dry season experience. But the herd does not respond like individual prey. The pride executes every step of the plan. But the herd does not panic. When the lead bull drops its boss horn and moves forward, that is the signal. 300 buffalo moving in the same direction. Creating a combined mass of around 200 metric tons. The herd does not chase them into the water. The objective is not to destroy the lions. The objective is to push them beyond the herd's safety radius. Once Kasai crosses that threshold, the herd stops and turns back. Kasai's defeat against the buffalo herd causes no immediate harm to the pride's health. Lions can go without eating for 14 days and maintain full hunting capacity. But this defeat has a dual ecological consequence. First, the 300-strong buffalo herd occupies the highest ground. That same ground is where impala and zebra concentrate. Being pushed outside the 50-meter radius of the buffalo herd means losing access to 80% of available prey in the zone. Second, this is how buffalo restructure the lion's hunting map in flood season. Without the need for continuous confrontation, buffalo hold the land. Impala and zebra learn to stay within range of that land. Kasai ends this flood season with the highest defeat count. In its short life so far, 5 weeks to dry season, long-term lion behavior research in Botswana recorded a consistent pattern. Lions that experienced at least one complete flood season between ages 2 and 5 had a 40% higher 5-year survival rate than lions that did not. Failure does not mean lost capacity. Failure means exposure to pressure. that dry season never generates, and exposure to that pressure is how. The lion's brain builds a library of responses for situations that inherited experience cannot prepare for. And Kasai, pushed back toward lower ground, learns what no dry season can teach: that the dominant species is not the one that never loses, but the one that survives enough losses to understand why. And next year, when the flood rises again, Kasai will not approach a herd of 300 buffalo at that same distance, with that same plan, because this delta does not forgive those who do not learn, but it never refuses to teach. A single mother faces her most demanding survival puzzle. Instead of hoisting the prize into a tree as usual, she chooses to play it safe by concealing it in an abandoned warthog burrow to stay out of sight from scavengers. A high-stakes decision. Any passing predator could stumble upon this feast. Yet, dragging the catch a long distance in 40 degrees heat is simply too much of a gamble. Another grueling trek begins. She must retrieve the precious gift she carefully stowed away. It is a path long enough to ensure the scent does not linger. A young boy. In the world of the leopard, young males tend to stay with their mothers longer than their sisters, sometimes up to 24 months. This is because establishing a solo territory for a young male is a monumental task under the pressure of other mature males. Nuzzling and grooming at this stage are the emotional bonds that strengthen the tie between mother and cub. Now she will guide the youngster to where his favorite meal awaits. From 6 to 8 weeks of age, the cub has already begun sampling meat, and soon he will learn to accompany his mother on actual outings. Leaving him unattended in a den for up to 36 hours is a gamble. Young leopards also hone their nimble climbing skills. On the savannah, raising a future warrior requires dedication and limitless patience. As the sun begins to fade and the air grows cooler, the night hunters prepare for their day's work. As the sunset paints the elephant grass golden in the Masai Mara, the air thickens with the urgency of the day's final cycle. This is the prime window for mid-tier hunters, where every move is racing against time in the fading light. Survival here relies on more than just raw power. It is a sophisticated logistical puzzle solved by the sharpest minds on the savannah. Black-backed jackals build their status on a rare foundation in the savannah: absolute lifelong loyalty. A black-backed jackal pair stays together for life, repurposing empty warthog burrows or old termite mounds into a secure family stronghold. The youngsters are looked after by their older siblings while the parents go out to forage. Known as the simpletons of the savannah, wildebeests are actually the planet's greatest ecological architects. With an overwhelming presence of 1.5 million individuals, they exert immense biological influence on every land they cross. The secret behind leading 1 million creatures to find the rain lies in their extraordinary sense of smell. A wildebeest can detect moisture in the air and the scent of damp earth from 50 kilometers away. This primitive navigation system is more precise than any man-made device, turning them into true storm chasers on the plains. Amidst the swirling dust, the constant calls serve as an invisible thread of connection. This is why they are also called the gnu. This continuous vocalization ensures no individual strays within the massive sea of life, keeping them all on the same page where visibility is often hampered by sand and heat. Their survival rests on a specialized physical design. Slender yet durable legs allow them to cover vast distances with minimal energy use. A newborn needs only 7 minutes after arrival to find its stride and match the pace of the adults. In this setting, a delay means the journey reaches a premature end. When facing the Mara River and its resident Nile crocodiles, collective intelligence replaces individual commands. There is no single leader who actually gives the order to cross. The decision to enter the challenging waters is the result of mounting pressure once their numbers at the bank reach a tipping point. Those at the water's edge are moved forward by the weight of the thousands behind them, creating a powerful and irreversible domino effect. Their role extends far beyond being mere travelers. Wildebeests consume about 4,000 tons of grass each day, acting as strategic mowers for the African landscape. This grazing stimulates the grass to return faster, softer, and richer in protein for other grazers, helping everyone get a leg up in the competition for resources. They are also mobile fertilization plants, spreading tons of nutrients to restore the soil's vitality and prevent land degradation. By clearing away dry brush, they naturally manage fires and protect the ecosystem from intense wildfires. Their contribution is the lifeblood of the African plains. They serve as a vital resource for prides of lions, leopards, and hyenas. Without this abundant energy source, these night hunters would find it difficult to sustain their legacy. Even the vulture flocks rely entirely on those who do not complete the journey to fulfill their role in keeping the environment tidy. However, to lead this massive energy through the savannah's maze, these simpletons require a guide with a superior memory. The black and white striped companions are waiting up ahead, ready to serve as the living compass for the great journey. Contrasting the grazer's instant agility, these hunters start off still wet behind the ears in total fragility. The dense thickets serve as a sanctuary for the newest members of the royal line. Lion cubs are born completely sightless and delicate, weighing only about 1 kilogram. They must remain tucked away in dens for their first 2 months to stay out of sight from other wandering eyes, and from their curious older cousins as well. This is the most sensitive stage. New life is shielded only by the protective instincts of the mother. Quite a distance away lies the territory of the lion pride, a large family unit. Prides in the Masai Mara can reach up to 20 individuals. strength resides in the unity of the female alliance. They form a supportive matriarchy, where lionesses co-parent the young and hunt together. It takes a substantial target to satisfy the hunger of a large pride. The buffalo is a challenging prize, yet always enticing. Even when the strongest males have secured the catch, the young ones still hesitate, as if finding their feet in this world. Typically, the dominant males do not spend much time hunting. His role is that of a guardian of the boundaries. He patrols the borders constantly, marking territory and leaving scent paths to warn any intruders. It is all to safeguard the pride's reign and the well-being of the little ones. Every predator wants the desert cottontail, but not everyone dares touch the creature that comes next. The desert horned lizard is tiny, moves slowly, and at first glance resembles a rock that grew legs. Its body is encased in a layer of razor-sharp spines, making it a meal that is, in the most literal sense, impossible to swallow. Any predator foolish enough to try will find dozens of spines driving through the roof of its mouth. Its camouflage allows it to blend completely into desert rock and sand, but that is only the first line of defense. When cornered, the horned lizard activates a weapon no other reptile on the planet possesses. It shoots a jet of blood from the corners of its eyes, up to 1.5 meters. Its blood carries an intensely bitter compound that forces coyotes, foxes, and even snakes to spit it out and retreat immediately. The most terrifying biological weapon in the desert does not come from claws or venomous fangs, but from a pair of eyes. In the Sonoran food chain, the horned lizard has proven one truth. That defense is the currency of survival. No speed required, no great size needed. Just make yourself too terrifying for anyone to bother. As the top-tier hunters retreat into the shade, the mother cheetah begins her shift. This is a clever survival strategy, seeking a meal while the heavy hitters are deep in slumber. Unlike the single mother working hard to raise a litter of 4 to 6, the males often choose a different path as they mature. They form a tight-knit coalition, often brothers from the same litter, to collectively safeguard a vast territory of 13 to 130 square kilometers. In the world of cheetahs, unity helps them hold on to lands rich with resources. A coalition functions as a truly egalitarian society. Those living alone often find themselves in poorer condition and rarely keep their ground against the competition of these close-knit male groups. Today, 4 cheetah brothers are setting their stage. The target is a zebra. Once the target is identified, the biological machine kicks into gear. As the prize is brought down, the outcome of the chase is clear. But the cheetahs must still eat quickly. The midday sun might keep hyenas from working for their own food, but it won't stop them from trying to muscle in on the action for an easy meal. With fewer leftovers from lions available, the hyenas of the Masai Mara are becoming more assertive than ever. As the pride settles into their nightly feast, the surrounding shadows erupt with eerie laughter. The spotted hyenas have arrived, the most persistent figures next in line at the site. A resonant roar from the king is all it takes to keep them at bay for a while, securing the meal for the delicate cubs. Yet the patience of these scavengers knows no bounds. They are truly biding their time. They linger in the shadows, catching the inviting scent of a nutrient-rich meal. At the forefront of the cleanup crew is the spotted hyena, a creature with an incredible bite force of 9,000 newtons. This strength surpasses even that of a lion, allowing them to break down the sturdiest bones to reach the nutrient-rich marrow within. They aren't just looking for scraps. They consume the skin, horns, and every tough remnant left behind, going the whole 9 yards. Their digestive system functions like a natural chemical plant, with potent stomach acid, capable of fully processing even the most durable tissues. As the lion pride finally moves on, a new commotion begins with the arrival of the black-backed jackal. These nimble scavengers choose not to challenge the muscular strength of the spotted hyena directly. Instead, they utilize a cunning hit-and-run tactic. Possessing a sharp sense of smell that can pick up a scent from several kilometers away, they are often among the first to arrive. Their compact and agile bodies allow them to weave through openings, quickly claiming soft remnants before vanishing into the darkness in the blink of an eye. They are opportunistic phantoms, surviving by being quick on their feet and knowing how to strike while the iron is hot when the giants leave an opening. The true conclusion of the feast belongs to the vultures as the first light of dawn appears. Though they often watch from the skies, they must wait for the mammalian hunters to move on before they can step in. These biological cleansers use their sharp, hooked beaks to clear the final remnants from eye sockets and the deepest reaches of the ribs. Evolution has granted them a featherless head for cleanliness when reaching deep inside, ensuring no unwanted hitchhikers cling to their plumage. With a stomach pH near 0, they neutralize potent pathogens like anthrax or botulinum toxin at the source. Vultures are the final stop for illness, ensuring the harsh conclusion of one's journey doesn't become a widespread crisis for the plains. In the Masai Mara, existence is a tightly woven cycle, where the remains of one provide nourishment for thousands of others. The dawn light reveals the bleached frame of the wildebeest, with not a single morsel left behind. The vultures take flight, cleaning the slate for the quiet start of a new day. When the floods recede, everything returns to the brutal reality of the dry season. The African savanna is not the only place where evolution has forged a ruthless food chain. Nearly 9,000 miles away across the Atlantic, another great furnace burns. Here, supreme power does not operate under blinding light. It hides in shadows that crawl across the earth. and whispers in absolute silence. Ground temperature reaches 80 degrees Celsius. Air rises like steam from a scalding pan, bending the horizon into shimmering, trembling mirages. This is the Sonoran Desert, the greatest furnace in North America. Stretching across more than 100,000 square miles of rock, sand, and cactus, running from Arizona through California and cutting across Mexico. At first glance, nothing should survive here. At midday in the Masai Mara, the sunlight is an unrelenting force, seeking moisture from every living being. African elephants understand this better than anyone. They turn mud into a protective coat, a natural sunscreen for their massive frames. Once dry, this layer becomes a shield against pests and keeps their temperature from rising too high. While the adults enjoy temporary relief, the newest members of the herd struggle with their own bodies. Their small trunks make them quite clumsy. From birth to 3 months of age, the trunk is merely a decorative accessory. It takes up to 6 months for a calf to begin learning the ropes of coordinating the complex movements needed to grasp grass or leaves. Only at 1 year old do they truly master the skill of drawing up water. Fully mastering techniques like breaking tough branches or picking up fruit with the trunk's tip is reserved for those 2 years of age or older. Yet, within that clumsiness, the calves are always sheltered. Elephant milk is a premium nutrient source, rich in fats and proteins, allowing the young to grow rapidly at an average of 1 kilogram per day. Here, the concept of family is fully realized. The aunts, sisters, and grandmothers in the herd all participate in raising the little ones. However, the intensity of a drought sometimes tests the limits of endurance. The elephant herd is always on the move. Their journey spreads nutrients, levels the ground, and even clears paths through the brush. The matriarch leads the way as she is the most respected figure. But not every young one can keep pace with the elder female. A pressing thirst leaves the elephant herd feeling weary. This presents a prime opening for the lions. They set their sights on a young calf. The thing remaining is the profound sorrow of a mother with a heavy heart. Before the weight of her recent loss has even begun to lift, the mother elephant must already face the scavengers. The Great Migration is often seen as the eternal heartbeat of East Africa, a cycle of life that never truly comes to a halt. However, the years 2024 to 2026 have brought unusual shifts that have shaken up the old ways. Due to climate shifts and erratic rainfall, the traditional path between the Serengeti and Masai Mara is being redrawn in highly unpredictable ways. Instead of completing the full loop into Tanzania, many small groups have chosen to turn back midway or remain in surrounding private conservancies as long as the grass stays green. This flexibility is how they adapt to meet the challenges of the changing climate. Within this massive flow, order is found through an unusual alliance between very different neighbors. Though they boast overwhelming numbers of 1.5 million individuals, wildebeests are notoriously poor at finding their way. Fortunately, they have the zebra, the living compasses of the plains. With exceptional spatial memory, zebras recall every river bend and path from years past to guide the massive group in the right direction. In return for that guidance, the wildebeests bring a masterful sense of smell to the table. They can detect the scent of rain and moisture from up to 50 kilometers away, leading the group toward freshly watered pastures. This partnership is also visible on every stretch of grass they cross. Zebras, with their sturdy teeth, handle the older and tougher grass tops first. This naturally clears the area, revealing the tender young grass beneath for the wildebeests. They need each other to thrive, forming a perfect biological team that overcomes every hurdle, working hand in glove to keep moving forward. Thompson's gazelles steer clear of the crowds of zebras or wildebeests. They are the final ones to arrive, a choice that is quite a clever feeding strategy. While zebras handle the coarse stalks and wildebeests take the mid-level greens, they leave behind the short grass near the soil. Often called the microgreens of the savanna. This protein-rich specialty is exactly what the Thompson's gazelle prefers. They make the most of the nutrient-dense resources that the larger species unintentionally overlooked. To thrive as smaller residents, these antelopes have evolved into high-speed marathon runners. While wildebeests rely on strength in numbers, the Thompson's gazelle wagers its well-being on agility and sharp turns at 90 kilometers per hour. When facing a swift seeker like the cheetah, they perform a psychological display called stotting, springing high into the air with all four legs. This isn't out of concern, but a witty message to the seeker. Look, I'm in the pink, so don't bother with the effort. Their caution reaches its peak when facing the challenges of the Mara River. Unlike the impulsive rush of the larger herds, the Thompson's gazelles are the most selective and patient. With such a delicate frame, a strong current or an accidental bump from a wildebeest could lead to a permanent departure. They typically wait for the commotion to settle once the Nile crocodiles are satisfied or occupied by larger subjects. They seek out shallow, calm stretches of the water to ensure they remain safe and sound. Interestingly, aerial views show many of these groups are willing to bypass the crossing if the grazing in the Serengeti remains plentiful. They are expert risk managers, placing their security ahead of following the masses. As these small foragers finish their feast, the silhouette of another guardian appears atop the termite mounds. The topi is patiently biding its time for a turn. While the wildebeest herds pour their strength into a taxing journey of 10,000 miles, the topi display a practical and sharp philosophy for getting by. They are semi-migratory residents, often staying put in the Masai Mara territory year-round, rather than making the draining cycles across the border. As of the year 2026, field records show many local topi groups only travel locally between the plains and the high hills to seek out the fresh shoots appearing after the rains. They hold the moisture map of the reserve, using their deep knowledge of the terrain to stay in peak condition without expending too much energy on the move. When the wave of wildebeests flows in, the topi quickly implement a clever strategy for some added security. They blend into the massive crowd to lean on the safety of numbers, making it harder for seekers like lions or hyenas to narrow their focus. Furthermore, this is a feast laid out in advance. The zebra and wildebeest herds have served as dedicated groundskeepers, clearing away the tough old stalks to reveal the succulent young grass beneath. Standing tall on strategic mounds, the dominant males serve as long-range lookouts for the entire plain. However, this tranquility is but a brief pause in the symphony of life. As the pressure from the crowd pushes the migratory flow toward the lower reaches, the true testing grounds begin to emerge within the Mara River. There, prehistoric seekers with steel-like scales are patiently waiting in the wings, ready to turn this grand journey into a fierce and intense encounter beneath the murky waters. Young gazelles are not as fortunate. From an early age, their existence is a high-stakes gamble where the mother wagers everything. The tiny one lies curled up, pressed against the ground and staying perfectly still for hours. Their coat blends seamlessly with the dried grass and sandy soil. The mother bets that no one will stumble upon her young. But today, the odds were not in her favor. Jackals possess incredibly sharp senses. For today, a bit of luck also helped them hit the jackpot. The jackals quickly attend to the meal they easily discovered. They have little ones of their own to consider. The female black-backed jackal consumes the portions as fast as possible, turning her own stomach into a secure transport pouch. At the den entrance, the eager faces of the waiting pups show their anticipation. When the mother returns, the meal begins. Finally, they can satisfy their hunger after a demanding day. As darkness falls, all the pups must retreat into the den to stay hidden from those with keen night vision. The mother leopard's brief window of peace draws to a close. She must guide her little one to a safer haven. Deep into the territory of the dominant male she paired with. Every step is a wager on the strength and well-being of the youngster. The innocent cub remains unaware. Twilight brings a welcome coolness, yet it also masks those who move in silence. The young one has reached the branches where his mother has stored a meal for the coming day. As a devoted mother, the leopardess maintains more than a single cache of food, but an unfamiliar scent lingers. Even though male leopards are typically larger, the mother is watching like a hawk and will stand her ground against anyone who dares approach her cub. The commotion draws the dominant male to the scene. He has shown himself to be a reliable partner. The intruder is turned away, yet remains fortunate to escape with his health intact. When the vivid feast of the heavyweight hunters concludes, the dark butler of the savannah truly begins his work. The marabou stork, also known as the undertaker bird, appears like an old man in a classic tuxedo strolling through the remains of life. Do not let this hunched posture and somewhat elegant attire pull the wool over your eyes. This is one of the largest birds in the world, with a wingspan that can reach 2.9 meters, rivaling the mightiest representatives of the African skies. Standing tall at a height of 1.5 meters, they tower over the scene, completely dominating the vultures bustling about. That featherless head and neck are a masterpiece of practical evolution. Much like a surgeon, the lack of feathers allows them to comfortably reach deep into the remains without worrying about fluids or bacteria sticking around, making the cleanup after each shift much easier. The vibrant pink air sac beneath the neck is not for storing food, but rather a sophisticated temperature regulation device and a tool for producing strange calls to attract a mate. Their most impressive feature is a long, hard and sharp beak shaped like a chisel, which can pierce the toughest wildebeest hide with ease. In the survival cycle of the Great Migration, the marabou stork serves as the final logistical anchor. They consume everything from aged meat and fallen fish to the scraps that even hyena packs overlook. These are mobile biological incinerators, a team of unsung heroes who help clear health risks like anthrax or plague from the grasslands, ensuring the safety of the entire ecosystem before a new cycle begins. At Masai Mara in 2026, ornithologists have noted the incredible intelligence of these birds as they begin to shift their traditional habits. They do not just wait patiently by the riverbank, they also gather at waste sites near human camps or follow wildfires to catch insects fleeing the flames. With the personality of a neighborhood bully, they frequently shoo away vultures or stand beside the crocodiles to snatch bits of meat flung from the spiral surge. Though often regarded as the least attractive bird on the continent, without them, the savannah would be overcome by strong odors and serious illnesses. However, the appearance of the marabou stork carries a meaning much deeper than a free meal. When those pink air sacs expand and their eyes turn toward the horizon, they are sensing a change. Alongside other migratory birds at the Masai Mara, they are quietly forecasting the conclusion of the dry season. An invisible signal is spreading through the clouds, marking the return of the rain showers, the ultimate source of life that will drive the Great Migration to continue its epic journey across the final wild lands on Earth. As shadows reclaim the plains, the most skilled hunters emerge from their hideouts. In the tall grass of the Masai Mara, a mobile radar station operates with total precision. The serval possesses the largest ears in the feline world relative to its frame. These satellite dishes are so keen they can pick up the footsteps of a mouse moving deep underground or in the thickest brush. For the serval, sound is scenery, and the darkness is her greatest ally. However, tonight's mission comes with more pressure than usual. In a hidden rocky crevice not far away, her nursing youngling waits with anticipation. This single mother is forced to gamble, leaving her fragile cub behind to nourish herself. Without a proper meal, her ability to provide milk will fade. Despite her slender frame, the serval is truly at the top of her game when it comes to efficiency on the savanna. Her success rate reaches 50%, a figure that completely overshadows the 30% of a lion pride or the 38% of a leopard. This proficiency comes from a blend of extraordinary hearing and unbelievable leaps. Long legs provide the serval with incredible lift, allowing her to soar 3 meters into the air or leap 4 meters to secure a meal from above. The most vital step is identifying the target. All that remains is the final, decisive move. A female serval's life is a journey of independence and constant awareness. She must carry the weight of raising her young alone, without any assistance from the male. To keep her cub away from the prying eyes of hyenas or the intensity of leopards, she frequently moves her home, leaving no scent behind. The 1-month-old youngsters have started trying meat provided by their mother, yet they still rely on her warmth until they are 5 months old. Every survival lesson, from active listening to the perfect pounce, is taught through real-world practice with live prizes brought back to the den. As the final light retreats, the Masai Mara transforms into an intense sanctuary for shadows. For the wildebeest herd, existence narrows to the keen vigilance of hearing and scent. They stand close together, every nostril flaring to detect a stray molecule of scent in the night wind. Yet nature often favors the most capable. Strong night gusts not only distract the senses of the prey, but also completely veil the footsteps of those gathering in the darkness. In the thick darkness, the lioness possesses an overwhelming biological advantage. Their eyes are a masterpiece of evolution, with light-sensitive rod cells 6 times more effective than human vision. A reflective layer behind the retina allows them to capture every stray particle of starlight to reconstruct a clear image of their interest. However, superb eyesight is only one part of the story. A lioness carries a relatively small heart, making up about 0.5% of her body weight, which prevents her from sustaining long-distance pursuits. Her assets are explosive energy and extreme patience. The lionesses do not work alone. They function as an organized special unit. Through subtle glances and quiet vocal cues, they have their strategy down to a science, pinning their interest in a pincer movement. Those on the wings begin to direct the wildebeest herd, steering them straight toward the members waiting in the center. When the gap narrows to 20 meters, the silence is completely lifted. The lead female surges forward with an explosive speed of nearly 60 kilometers per hour. Amidst the chaos of 1,000 hooves, she zeroes in on a single individual thanks to her sharp motion detection. A sudden strike combined with a firm hold on the throat interrupts the air supply of the subject. A successful nighttime outing brings a survival rate of up to 30% for the pride, an impressive figure compared to their more modest results during the day. In this nocturnal kingdom, superior teamwork and vision turn these shadows of the brush into the ultimate masters of the life cycle. Moving away from the rushing waters of the Mara, the journey leads to another challenging landscape, Lake Magadi. Here, the ground is parched and the highly alkaline water can sting the skin of any predator. Yet in the heart of this intense environment, a brilliant legion is rising, lesser flamingo. They are the smallest of their kind, yet they display the most intense shades. A deep, concentrated pink, as if they have absorbed the very essence of the sunset. However, this beauty is an illusion. It is not naturally born. It is a beauty that has been borrowed. That pink hue is a declaration of survival, crystallized from carotenoid pigments found in the potent food sources they consume. They transform these substances into glory. Look at the way they bow their heads, a patient ritual of gathering nourishment. The deep crimson beak, nearly black, curves sharply like a scythe of destiny. Within that curve lies a complex filtration system, a marvel of evolution that helps them separate spirulina and cyanobacteria from the unwelcoming water. In a place where the towering potential of hydrogen levels could overwhelm most life, the lesser flamingo continues its dance against all odds. They are the alchemists of the savannah, defying extreme conditions to turn a harsh lake into a fiery paradise. In this kingdom, beauty is not for the faint of heart, and their brilliance serves as armor against the severity of nature. Yet in a world of wild sounds, silence sometimes carries the ultimate power. Look toward the shallow waters where a towering figure stands guard. The saddle-billed stork. A giant reaching a height of 1.5 meters, standing firm like a prehistoric sentinel. It wears a black and white uniform of chilling contrast, but the highlight of this specialist lies in its massive bill. A masterpiece of intimidation. Vibrant red and jet black blend together, and resting atop the base of the bill is a brilliant yellow saddle, a regal mask for a heart of stone. It moves with the rhythm of a phantom, without a sound, without a ripple. Keen, cold eyes watch every tiny movement hidden beneath the mud. And then the strike is delivered. The long bill, sharp as a spear, pierces through the natural armor of fish, frogs, or unfortunate reptiles. A final resolution carried out with absolute precision. The most striking part? Those it pursues will never hear it let out a cry. The saddle-billed stork is a silent spirit of the savannah, a creature that lacks a voice box in exchange for the quietude of a professional hunter. Instead of a song, it communicates through the sounds of a life cycle concluding. A dry, cold clattering of the bill echoes through the stillness, a staccato of bone against bone. No words are needed, no shouts are required. In the realm of predators, the silence of the saddle-billed stork is the final verdict for any soul that happens to cross its path. Beneath the murky waters of the Mara River, an ancient squad of prehistoric hunters silently sets the stage. This is the domain of the Nile crocodile, giants that can reach lengths of over 5 meters and weigh nearly 1 metric ton. Many seasoned veterans here have lived for as long as 60 years. They have observed the Great Migration since a time before humans possessed modern lenses to record the event. These elderly hunters know every bend and every ideal crossing point by heart, where the wildebeest herds will eventually have to pass. The true secret behind this dominance lies in a chilling level of patience. Nile crocodiles are masters of energy conservation. They can go without food for up to 1 year and still thrive due to an incredibly low metabolic rate. They spend most of their time basking on sand banks, absorbing heat and waiting for the only all-you-can-eat season of the year. When millions of animals descend into the river, one giant can consume an amount of meat equal to 20% of its body weight in a single sitting. The fat stored from these grand feasts is the lifeline that sustains them until the next migration season arrives. Since they cannot chew, these reptiles employ a famous processing technique known as the spiral surge. Once they have secured a firm grip on their prize, they rotate their entire bodies at an immense speed beneath the surface. The centrifugal force and torque are so powerful that they can separate joints and tissues in the blink of an eye. Entering the year 2026, the water levels of the Mara River have become more unpredictable than ever due to shifting currents from upstream. When the water is deep and fast-moving, this becomes the land of plenty for the crocodiles. Wildebeests, swept away by the current, become a meal served on a silver platter, requiring the crocodiles to hardly break a sweat to claim them. Though they do not truly hunt in groups, dismantling a large prize like a zebra requires pulling forces from multiple directions. Here, opportunistic cooperation arises. They are willing to share the bounty to take advantage of the rotational force provided by their neighbors. After the meal, their stomachs, which possess the highest acid concentration in the animal kingdom, process whatever remains. From bones and horns to the hardest hoof fragments, everything is completely dissolved. After every migration season, the riverbed is left spotless thanks to the thorough cleanup efforts of this reptilian army. However, on the shallows and along the banks, another curious figure waits quietly to tidy up the final scraps that even the crocodiles overlook. That would be the marabou stork, the street sweeper of the savannah. But not every king of the waters needs a massive frame to command respect. Sometimes the most potent threats hide within the smallest forms, proving that good things come in small packages. Just 13 centimeters of fierce survival instinct. Malachite kingfisher, a living gem carved from precious stones and fire. Its back carries a vibrant turquoise hue, contrasting with a belly of fiery orange that mirrors a Serengeti sunset. And crowning its head is a proud black-striped crest, the badge of an elite tracker. It stands there, motionless, a statue of patience perched upon a dry riverbank branch. It does not move. It does not breathe. It waits for a single ripple, a sign of activity beneath the surface. But the water's surface is a master of deception. It bends the light, distorting the position of the prize to conceal the truth. Most hunters would miss their mark, but not the malachite kingfisher. Its eyes possess a biological mastery over the phenomenon of refraction. It calculates the reality behind the surface distortions, identifying the target with millimeter precision right from the air, showing it is a cut above the rest. If the wildebeest herd is the roaring engine of the Great Migration, the zebra is the navigational brain and the most valiant vanguard. Roughly 300,000 zebras participating in this trek are not merely tagging along. They hold the keys to survival that the wildebeests completely lack. This partnership begins with a silent agreement within their digestive systems. While wildebeests are ruminants requiring tender grass, zebras are hindgut fermenters. This design allows zebras to process the oldest, driest, and toughest stalks that other species often pass by. They act like industrial mowers, clearing the coarse surface layer to reveal the fresh green core beneath for the wildebeest herds. A perfect division of resources helps both coexist on parched land. However, the zebra's true contribution lies in its superior visual navigation. Unlike their companions who keep their noses to the ground searching for rain, zebras possess a topographic map in their visual memory. They recall the exact locations of reliable waterholes from years past, even when the sky shows no sign of a storm. With eyes positioned on the sides of their heads and exceptional night vision, they establish a 360-degree lookout system for the entire migrating group. Any slight movement in the thickets is detected instantly. When those black and white stripes begin to pick up speed, it serves as a silent command to the thousands of wildebeests behind that unwanted company is approaching. The zebra's resolve is most evident at the Mara River crossings, teeming with Nile crocodiles. Wildebeests might stand frozen for hours in hesitation, but zebras are often the ones to break the stalemate. With a cautious yet decisive nature, they are frequently the first to brave the water and clear the way. Those stripes charging through the turbulent currents act as a powerful psychological cue, triggering a domino effect that encourages the masses behind to follow suit. This boldness isn't reckless. It's the calculated move of a species that is always ahead of the pack. Once these striped warriors are settled on the fresh green banks, they leave the stage to the opportunistic hunters waiting for the remains. But before the shadows of the meat-eaters emerge, a smaller antelope species quietly makes use of the final green patches left behind by the massive migrating herd. The Thompson's gazelle is stepping in, bringing a more delicate rhythm of survival amidst the grandeur of the Great Trek. A final quietus delivered from the sky, yet granted by the legs of the earth. While the secretary bird works alone as a knight of the shadows, another legion is taking over the space below with sheer numbers and commotion. The ground troops of the dusty Savannah, helmeted guinea fowl. Look at their formation. A unified mass of rounded silhouettes draped in dark grey armor, speckled with tiny white dots like millions of pearls scattered across the wilderness. But the elegance stops there. Above the bare neck sits a peculiar featherless face, revealing vivid blue and red skin, like the war paint of an ancient tribe. And reigning on the crown, a sturdy, bony crest, the casque that serves as a helmet for true warriors. They don't just move, they march, proving there is strength in numbers. A collective defined by discipline and extreme vigilance. These are the low-level specialists, the unyielding rivals of ticks and the hidden termite empires beneath the soil. They churn up the Serengeti dust, searching for seeds and wild tubers, turning every square meter of land into a zone of thorough clearing. But the true power of the helmeted guinea fowl lies in their calculated partnership. They are the ultimate followers, often shadowing the footsteps of giants like elephants or herds of antelope. When the heavy tread of large beasts stirs up hiding insects, this pearl-clad legion is ready to gather the bounty from the chaos. Yet, in the kingdom of seekers, they hold an even more sacred duty, the sentinels of the savannah. With sharp social instincts and constant caution, no movement from a rival can slip past those thousands of eyes as they keep a weather eye out. A lurking leopard or an unusual ripple in the grass from a lion will trigger a startling alarm system. A piercing, loud and chaotic cry erupts, slicing through the stillness of the grassland. It is the symphony of life and its inevitable conclusion. When the helmeted guinea fowl sounds the alarm, the entire savannah stops to listen. A call for safety, not just for their own, but for every being sharing this demanding landscape. Those helmeted warriors are the invisible shield, ensuring the pulse of the Serengeti is never silenced by a sudden advance. The plunge happens in a split second. A feathered arrow launched from the bow of instinct, it pierces the surface, a blur of turquoise and orange, and emerges before the ripples can even spread. A fish, an insect larva. A life concludes faster than a blink. Tiny, radiant. But in this kingdom, even a gem can be a highly determined specialist. The waterhole where the jade shines, another dark silhouette quietly emerges as an enigma of the wetlands. Hammerkop. Its entire body bears the earthy bronze hue of soil and stone, a perfect camouflage in the transition between water and mud. Look at its silhouette, a crest extending backward, combined with a heavy bill to cast the shape of a prehistoric hammer. A tool for an ancient trade. He prowls the silent reaches of the shallows and mud. He does not simply wait, he takes proactive action. Using a calculated foot-shaking technique, he sends shockwaves deep into the mud. A tactical disturbance. He forces those in hiding, frogs, tadpoles, and small fish, to reveal themselves before delivering the concluding strike. However, the true authority of the Hammerkop lies not in the pursuit, but in the monuments he leaves behind. He is the supreme architect of the Serengeti. He does not just build nests, he constructs fortresses, a towering structure reaching 1.5 meters in height, woven from thousands of branches and mud. An incredibly sturdy engineering masterpiece, it is truly built to last, strong enough to support the weight of a full-grown adult without budging. In a land of shifting sands and fleeting lives, the Hammerkop builds for eternity. A bronze king in a wooden fortress, the keeper of the secrets of the marsh. While the Hammerkop builds sturdy fortresses, another challenger defies the laws of gravity right on the surface of the water. African jacana. A vibrant chestnut figure, elegant with a white neck and blue-gray bill, glides through floating vegetation like a marshland illusion. But its secret lies not in its plumage, but in its feet. A marvel of evolutionary design. Toes of an improbable length, delicate yet possessing great strength. They are more than just feet. They are sophisticated instruments for weight distribution. With an expansive stride, the African jacana turns fragile lily pads into a stable pathway, allowing it to calmly walk across water where any other would be overtaken by the deep. It prowls and seeks out insects and invertebrates right on the ceiling of the aquatic world. But within jacana society, the reversal of roles goes beyond just their footsteps. This is an empire of queens. Polyandry, the practice of having multiple male partners, a departure from the usual standards of the savanna. Here, the female is the supreme ruler, commanding the territory and overseeing a harem of her own, clearly proving she wears the pants. After placing her eggs, the sovereign departs for new horizons, leaving her loyal subjects, the males, to handle the duty of incubation and raising the next generation on their own. A solitary father protects the lineage in the empire of wings, while his queen continues to expand her dynasty. But where the brilliant light of the Serengeti becomes unreliable, a master of cunning transforms shadows into a final gift. Black heron, a monochrome silhouette cast from lead and ash. Lacking brilliance and flair, it prowls like a quiet presence within the shallows. He does not chase his catch, he invites them into the great beyond. Observe the dance of the shadows, the canopy feeding technique. With a deliberate and calculated motion, he spreads his wings wide, forming a perfect circle around his head. The umbrella of the night appears. This is a masterpiece of deception. That umbrella is not just an optical tool that eliminates the blinding glare of reflections, allowing the seeker's eyes to see through every truth hidden beneath the murky surface. It is also a clever psychological maneuver. Amidst vast waters filled with uncertainty, shadows are often seen as a sanctuary. The small fish seek out this dark nook as a final refuge, falling for it hook, line, and sinker as a peaceful haven amidst the surrounding turmoil. Where the loner finds tranquility, others march like a legion. Great white pelican. A fleet of living sails dressed in pure white feathers that occasionally turn a vibrant pink as the breeding season takes center stage. A massive presence that fills the lake, but do not let that somewhat heavy appearance fool you. They are masters of encirclement tactics. This is not a simple search, it is a full-scale blockade. They move as a unified front, a phalanx of feathers. By simultaneously beating their massive wings against the surface, they turn peace into a chaotic scene, herding the unfortunate fish into the unforgiving shallows. There is no escape. There is no compromise. And then the abyss opens wide. The vibrant yellow pouch beneath the throat, the powerful gular pouch, can take in 13 liters of water in a single expansion. A massive net of living tissue. Keep in mind, they do not use it to store nourishment like a pantry. They use it to filter through destiny. An immense pressure is created to squeeze the water out, casting aside the river's extras and leaving only the desperate silver pulse of the catch before it is embraced by the darkness of the esophagus. In the Empire of Wings, synergy is the ultimate weapon, and this white legion never lets their catch off the hook when negotiating with fate. While the Pelican legions scour the lake with collective strength, another specialist quietly practices his trade in the murky strips of water. African spoonbill, a pure white phantom, bearing legs and a face as vibrant red as if tinted by the very color of previous resolutions. But look at his equipment. A long, flat bill that flares at the end. A curious creation of evolution. He does not go looking for a catch. He is scanning destiny. He does not need sharp eyes to see through the thick mud of the Serengeti. Instead, he performs a mechanical dance, dipping his bill and sweeping it back and forth in steady arcs. A true biological sensor. Deep within the outer layer of that spoon-shaped bill is an incredibly sensitive nerve network. An extremely sophisticated living radar system. Just the slightest vibration, a flick of a crustacean or a faint fin pulse of a small fish, is enough to trigger the final verdict. A lightning-fast snap, showing he has the move down to a science. In the Empire of Wings, the final moment does not necessarily come from a sharp gaze. Sometimes it comes from the most delicate touch amidst the murky waters where the shadows hide every mystery. As the sun-drenched kingdom fades into the shadows, the daytime rulers step aside, handing the throne to a different entity. A phantom takes command at the pinnacle of the night, Varro's eagle owl. A giant carrying the weight of 3 kilograms of muscle and raw intensity. He is dressed in pale gray plumage with tiny speckles, turning his massive frame into a part of the dim moonlight. That signature facial disc is more than a mask. It is a sophisticated sound-receiving device, scanning for even the slightest heartbeat hiding beneath the canopy. But look at those eyes. The most recognizable feature and the most peculiar, vibrant pink eyelids. A unique signature, a striking mark of nature upon the face of this nocturnal specialist. A pink blink, the last thing a catch might perceive before the shadows descend forever. He is called the Lord of the Night, not because of prestige, but because of absolute quietude. The unique structure of his wing feathers is a masterpiece of sound-dampening engineering, allowing him to glide like a thought, without a sound, without a warning. He approaches his target as an inevitability of fate. And when he descends, it is an irreversible event. Incredibly strong feet deliver a grip powerful enough to conclude the journey instantly. His roster of targets shows no bias, from large insects and other proud birds of prey to even prickly creatures like porcupines or unfortunate young monkeys. In the woodland kingdom, when the sun retires, Varro's eagle owl is the definition of profound awe. A silent seeker, a sovereign with pink eyelids, he rewrites the rules in the dead of night with feet of iron. Serengeti. A kingdom where shadows pursue and the sun challenges every living soul. But look higher. Above the dust and essence of the plains, another dynasty reigns supreme. This is the Empire of Wings, where these masters of the air call the shots. Within the Mara River basin and the inhospitable alkaline lakes, every drop of water is a promise, yet also a clever ruse. African fish eagle. An emperor dressed in a uniform of sharp contrast between the snowy white of the head and neck and the deep chocolate of his body. He does not merely observe, he is presiding over a court upon the water. His piercing call, cutting through the air, is the voice of Africa, a firm declaration of sovereignty echoing throughout the valleys. Yet he possesses more than just a voice. He is a precision instrument. From a strategic high point on the branches near the water, he marks a target, a silver flash beneath the waves. He launches. Gravity becomes an ally. With a plunge at a lightning-fast speed, he thrusts his talons forward like steel pincers. Biological sophistication meets the raw intensity of instinct. Beneath his feet are spicules, small, sharp, and sturdy spikes. They are the iron cuffs of the sky, designed to ensure that once the talons have locked, no slippery fish has a chance to slip away. Fish, water birds, or turtles all fall under his jurisdiction. In the Mara, the African fish eagle does not just hunt. He is reclaiming what belongs to his empire. Life in the water always carries a price, and this king is the ultimate debt collector who clearly rules the roost. When an insect, a small reptile, or even a mouse moves below, this noble figure sheds its refined grace. It plunges, a direct and forceful descent, before carrying the prize back to the branch to finalize the catch. And then, pride reaches its peak in a grand exhibition of the self. The name roller is not a coincidence, it is a declaration of aerial dominance. To attract attention, the male launches itself high, defying the pull of gravity before diving in a dramatic spiral. It tumbles, rolling through the air, paired with resonant calls to announce its arrival. In this kingdom, beauty is not simply for admiration. It is a subtle weapon. It is a display of true might. The lilac-breasted roller stands as proof. Even in the world of stern survival, flash and flare are still part of the struggle for the crown. Yet that tranquility is a falsehood, a hidden chamber of finality. Just as the catch finds comfort in the shade, the sharp bill descends. In the empire of wings, sometimes the place that appears most secure is where the end waits with a smile. The shadows do not save them. They only veil the conclusion of their journey. Leaving the hazard-filled waters behind, the frontier of survival shifts deep into the labyrinth of acacia trees and dense thorn thickets. This is the domain of the stealthy ones, where shadows hide discreet resolutions that are every bit as intense, often staying under the radar. The African harrier hawk glides through the canopy like a pale grey phantom, with broad wings and a lone white band cutting across its jet-black tail. But look at the face of this seeker, a patch of pale yellow skin like a soulless mask. When its intensity rises and excitement takes hold, that mask transforms into a vibrant red, a signal that a final moment is drawing near. The African harrier hawk glides through the canopy like a pale grey phantom with broad wings and a lone white band cutting across its jet-black tail. But look at the face of this seeker, a patch of pale yellow skin like a soulless mask. When its intensity rises and excitement takes hold, that mask transforms into a vibrant red, a signal that a final moment is drawing near. These are the most talented engineers of the avian world. With no blueprints and no tools, using only beaks and feet, they begin the journey of weaving life together. Each blade of grass and every leaf is knotted and intricately interlaced to form pouch-shaped nests suspended in mid-air. These are not just nests. These are strategic fortresses. They are hung from the thorniest tips to challenge reptiles, turning a snake's pursuit into an exercise in futility against the acacia's spiked barriers. The knots are impossibly complex, showing an amazing resilience against the fierce storms of the savannah. In a kingdom of sharp fangs and claws, the legacy of weaver birds is maintained not through force, but through persistence, and the tightest bonds in nature. Leaving the thorny labyrinths of the woodlands, the journey of survival leads us into the grand theater of the Savannah Plains. A boundless space with no room for concealment, where standing out is part and parcel of life under the gaze of the horizon. Here, the giants reign supreme. A living legacy from prehistoric times, the largest and heaviest bird still walking this planet. Common ostriches aren't merely birds. They are the mobile fortresses of the savannah. Look at the class division in this dynasty. The males wear a contrasting black and white uniform with great pride, while the females choose the brownish-gray hue of the earth. Yet, as dawn pierces the night of the Varro's eagle owl, a more radiant dynasty rises from the acacia canopy. An entity draped in the colors of dreams, yet possessing the instincts of a seasoned warrior. The lilac-breasted roller. It is hailed as one of the most exquisite beings on the planet, a living masterpiece of grandeur within the woodlands. At least 8 shades interweave across that small frame, a proud lilac on the chest, a vibrant turquoise belly, a stoic brown back, and wings of deep velvet blue. It wears the formal attire of a nobleman, but carries the heart of a conqueror. Do not let its beauty pull the wool over your eyes. Upon the parched acacia branches, it perches like a sentry guarding the frontier. Its sharp gaze scans every inch of the earth, waiting for a lapse in caution. But if the common ostrich has surrendered the sky, another carries its burden like a taxing crown. The Cory bustard. The cloud's heaviest aristocrat, a mass of muscle and silver-gray feathers that can weigh up to 18 kilograms, a direct challenge to the laws of physics. It can take to the air, but it holds no love for it. Flight comes at a steep price, an energy expenditure the savannah never pays back. Thus, this monarch chooses to walk, silent, poised, with a black crest standing tall as a symbol of the upper class in the heart of the Serengeti. Every step is a calculated pursuit. It is an omnivore with the palate of both a tyrant and a connoisseur. It sweeps up panicked grasshoppers and overcomes small mammals with the resolve of a ground hunter. Yet it has an odd craving for the golden amber seeping from the acacia tree. Acacia gum, a sweet, lingering resin, a gift from the thorns for the patient. When the season of romance dawns, the Cory bustard sheds its stoic mask to perform a peculiar transformation. It inflates its throat to 4 times its size, turning its neck into a brilliant white orb of plumage. A deep boom echoes, a low-frequency vibration cutting through the morning haze, a powerful call to potential partners. Weighted by gravity, yet elevated by spirit, In a kingdom where every ounce of weight comes at a cost, the Kori bustard stands its ground. It walks on, head held high, ruling the earth with tireless strides. But across the open savanna, another distinct silhouette strides, one who has traded the perks of warm thermal currents for the grit of the dusty earth. The secretary bird is a curious blend of a regal eagle's frame and the spindly legs of a crane. It is draped in elegant silver-grey plumage, accented by tight black feathered leggings on its thighs, like a knight preparing for a quest. Yet, if the lilac-breasted roller is the embodiment of extravagance, then deep within the thorn bushes, another class is quietly building an empire of meticulous detail. These are devoted laborers in a world of hunters. Smaller sparrows, yet weaver birds carry the ambition of master architects, and their skills are second to none. During the breeding season, the males shed their ordinary look to don a brilliant golden formal suit, accented by a mysterious black mask, a perfect appearance to charm their own kind. In contrast, the females remain hidden in simple grayish-brown coats, a wise choice to blend into nature, where standing out often leads to an early departure from this life. They operate as a single, unified entity. Large flocks descend to the ground, sweeping through the thickets to harvest seeds and insects. Within their vast numbers, they find safety. But the true arena for weaver birds does not lie on the ground. It resides high above. Beneath the shadow of sharp acacia branches, an engineering marvel begins to reveal itself. The coyote is the greatest opportunist the Sonoran has ever produced. Smaller than its northern cousins, weighing just 25 to 30 pounds, around 11 to 13 kilograms, with sparser fur designed to shed heat more easily. Small in body, not in ambition, coyotes eat whatever crosses their path. Cactus fruit when desperate, cottontails when lucky, lizards when convenient, and carrion when nothing else remains. Opportunism elevated to an art form. When hunting smaller prey, the coyote works alone. It waits, hidden behind creosote bushes, both ears rotating like radar, scanning for sound, nose working the wind. When a cottontail appears 30 feet away, the coyote transforms into a launched arrow, accelerating to 40 miles per hour, around 64 kilometers per hour. But on steep rocky slopes, the coyote concedes to the desert bighorn sheep, creatures that can scale vertical rock faces at 15 miles per hour. Only when facing large prey on flat, open ground do they shift to pack hunting tactics. And behind its head sits an unmistakable feature, a row of long black feathers splaying out, resembling the quill pens once used by old-world clerks. Do not let its somewhat scholarly appearance deceive you. This is a professional pedestrian seeker, a bird that is a cut above the rest of the grassland specialists. It strides with pride across the savanna plains, turning every footstep into a thorough search. Rodents, lizards, and especially snakes, the silent shadows of the grass, are its marked targets. Even a highly venomous cobra is simply another name on its list. Once a target is identified, the specialist makes its move. No need for a sharp beak, no need for aerial maneuvers. It utilizes its exceptionally strong legs like unwavering precision tools. A lightning-fast strike lands directly on the target's head. This is the peak of biological specialization. The secretary bird's strike carries immense force, 5 times its own body weight, and it all unfolds within a mere 15 milliseconds. Nhan hon mot kai chop mat. Faster than the reflexes of even the swiftest reptile. This precise calculation ensures the target, even the most venomous snakes, is neutralized instantly by a decisive impact before they can even think of a counter move. There is one creature that has gone even further. It uses neither blood nor spines to defend itself, but weaponizes the fear of others. The burrowing owl, the only owl in the Sonoran that lives underground. Unlike its relatives, it hunts during the day, taking insects, small mice, lizards, and anything it can fit in its beak. Its unusually long legs allow it to sprint across open ground, making it a ground hunter wearing the mask of a sky predator. The burrowing owl does not dig its own burrow. It squats. Any abandoned tunnel left by prairie dogs, desert tortoises or badgers becomes fair game. When an enemy approaches the burrow entrance, the burrowing owl produces a sound that freezes every creature in the desert, the warning rattle of a rattlesnake. Not a real rattlesnake, just the owl itself, perfectly mimicking the sound of the desert's most feared killer. In the darkness of the burrow, no intruder dares take that risk. With no venom and no spines, the burrowing owl has turned fear itself into its ultimate weapon. Sometimes pretending to be dangerous is more effective than being dangerous at all. But this false rattle only works when a real rattlesnake is not nearby. In the Sonoran, rattlesnakes are always close. A perfect camouflage to blend into the parched grasslands. In a world of elite seekers, the common ostrich possesses a high-tech warning system. Its eyes, with a diameter of 5 centimeters, larger than the brain inside its skull, are powerful lenses. It senses a final sunset when a foe is still a faint ghost on the far horizon. If the sky refused them the right to fly, the ground compensated with a primal power. Long legs, rippling with muscle, and featuring only 2 toes on each foot. a perfect design for speed. This is the king of high-stakes sprints, one who can tear through the savanna mist at a speed of 70 kilometers per hour. A kick from those legs carries enough power to hasten the departure of a leopard in the blink of an eye. But to sustain such a massive body, it must accept a stern diet. A true omnivore, it scours for everything from seeds and plants to unfortunate lizards or insects. Lacking teeth to grind, the common ostrich turns to a strange ally, pebbles. They swallow stones into their gizzards, using those biological mills to break everything down into the fuel of life. In the infinite space of the Serengeti, the common ostrich stands as a monument to perseverance. A flightless giant that dominates the land with the eyes of a prophet and the legs of a storm, proving it is head and shoulders above the rest.
We have just walked together through the rawest moments of a life and death confrontation in the sanctuary of Ruaha. Which animal in today's episode changed the way you look at the wild? Was it the raw instinct of the ruling pride, or the staggering resistance of the buffalo herd? Leave your own take in the comments. Your understanding is the tribute these wild animals deserve. And do not forget to hit like and subscribe to come along on the next expeditions, where we keep decoding the most mysterious codes of survival. And if you want to explore more wild animals, keep going with Win or Die, full episode, Deadliest Battles for Survival, or Lion Attack, the Mapago Battle for Survival.